Recently our favorite witch has suffered a lot, from having sudden outbursts of power to being kidnapped and tortured by a crazy witch and vampire. Now that her dark prince has come to save her, she is back at her unexpected safe haven, Septours, and is happy. But some questions are waiting to be answered, and Diana cannot wait any longer to solve the mystery that is her past. Now that Diana is free from any burden and is comfortable doing her magic, she decides that she wants to explore more of the past that was hidden from her. So, she and Matthew again embark on a voyage to Madison, where Diana's aunts are. Upon their arrival, the comfy wooden house that embodies a place of witches starts shaking, making Matthew uncomfortable. But Diana just laughs at his cuteness and says that the house is haunted and can misbehave with new people. Diana's aunts are nowhere to be seen, and Matthew notices this too. But Diana replies that they wanted them to warm up to the house first. However, soon Emily and Sarah come back from the market, all smiling and excited. But Diana ambushes them outside and asks if they are aware something is wrong with her. Sarah looks at her perplexed, but Emily looks guilty. Apparently, in her childhood, Diana was spellbound by someone, and because of it, she never developed a connection with her inner magic. Aunt Emily says that she might have an idea about it, but she is not sure. She then reveals that the people who spellbound her might be her parents. And at that point, everyone, including Sarah, is shocked. Diana storms inside angrily while Emily tries to defend Rebecca and Stefan, saying that Knox was after them. But Diana is so angry that she refuses to listen to anything. At that moment, the house suddenly starts shaking, and a sudden projection of Rebecca and Stefan in the kitchen starts. They both are terrified of something and do not know what to do. But they decide to spellbind Diana because Knox is coming to their house. They hurriedly go to her room, and Stefan starts the spell, making Diana cocooned in spider webs. When Knox comes to their house, he does not find any trace of the magic which he wants to find, and Stefan and Rebecca take a sigh of relief. They both soon leave Diana with her aunts and promise to explain everything when they come back. However, unfortunately, that was the last time Diana saw her parents. Looking at all of this, Diana is confused, betrayed, sad, and angry at the same time. She was aware that her parents loved her, but at the same time, she failed to understand what Knox could have done. She runs to the forest, and Matthew goes in after to console her. She stops by a tree and ponders over her past. She realizes that her father did not completely bind her for life, but he made a small opening where she could be free from the binding whenever she needed. Suddenly, she starts making sense of things and all that has been happening in her past. And that included the Dark Prince her mother used to tell stories of. She realizes that Matthew is her Dark Prince, and for that, she hugs him hard. Meanwhile, the now weaker Sadu returns to Knox and wakes him from his sleep. She says that she is addicted to Diana's power, and Knox agrees because he was once addicted to her mother's. This cannot get any creepier. Back in Madison, Matthew and Sarah are having an argument about Diana. Matthew says that Diana should train with him, but Sarah says that she needs to control her magic first, and that can only be done if she has a basic idea of simple spells. This argument is diluted by an amused Diana, who says that she will do both simultaneously. However, learning magic is easier said than done. Diana is struggling to light a simple candle while a frustrated aunt, Sarah, looms over her head. With time, they both get agitated with each other, and that results in a small argument between them. Meanwhile, Matthew and Aunt Em are having a comparatively pleasant conversation with each other. There, Matthew finds out that Diana's after, Stefan, was a time walker. This means that he was able to pass between times as long as he wanted. Matthew figures out that Diana must also possess this quality. But their conversation is interrupted by Diana and Sarah arguing. Diana says something that she regrets, and Sarah gets visibly upset over it. She dismisses Diana and tells her that they are taking a break, but Diana gets frustrated over the whole episode and vanishes into thin air. Matthew, Sarah, and Em are all shocked and confused to see the disappearance and start shouting her name. But there is no answer. Matthew then starts to smell Diana and finds that her scent is coming from outside. He runs to the barn, and of course, a scared and perplexed Diana is standing there. He tells her that Diana might also be a time walker, and upon hearing this, she beams with excitement, causing Matthew to smile at her as well. It seems like her power and their love is growing more each day, and Diana could not be happier. However, something terrible is brewing outside Madison. Agatha finds out that her daughter-in-law, Sophie, was actually born to witch parents, but she is a demon. She is flabbergasted upon hearing this, as all her beliefs about the Covenant are turning out to be a hoax. She tells this to Hamish, who is just as shocked as her. But they keep this secret to themselves for now. While back in Venice, the snake Domenico persuades Juliet to stop fearing Gerbert and come out of her shell to find her love, Matthew. And with a little force, she does that and leaves Gerbert's claws to find her addiction. Good luck, Matthew, fighting this one off. Meanwhile, oblivious to all the chaos, Diana and Matthew are flirting while also training for the fight that is inevitable. But they both can't get things done with all the teasing and sexual tension. Matthew accidentally scares Diana, and she falls over, making her hand bleed. Upon seeing the blood, Matthew's vampire qualities take over, but he controls them. However, this gives Diana an idea. She pokes Matthew to make him hunt her and runs in the opposite direction. But, as soon as he is about to catch her, she starts flying. It turns out Diana needed a little more serious danger to evoke her magic. They both laugh over it and finally cave into their desires for the rest of the night. In the morning, a cab arrives containing a stone-faced Miriam and an ecstatic Marcus. Emily is happy to host them, but not much can be said about Sarah. She is still nervous about vampires in her house, and she starts a small rant over it. But the house starts shaking, revealing a piece of paper parceled to Diana. Confused, she opens it and finds out a missing piece of Ashmole 782. They all get weirded out, but Aunt Sarah takes the paper and goes to another room to inspect it. In Venice, Domenico runs into Sadu and sees that she is practically powerless. He captures her and goes to Baldwin to threaten him. Baldwin wants the witch for himself, but Domenico refuses, keeping her leverage over his head. While all of this drama is happening in Venice, our happy couple is once again training and flirting. Diana is blindfolded and follows Matthew's scent to find him, but she goes in the wrong direction and touches someone else. Excitedly, she touches its hair and feels something odd, causing her to take off her blindfold. And when she does, a pissed-off Juliet is standing there. The fan favorite, Diana Bishop, recently found that her parents spellbound her to protect her from Nox. But now that she is free from the limit, she is craving magic like a vampire desiring blood. Talking about vampires, a blood-hungry one is on our witch's throat wanting to take revenge for her long-lost love. Let's pick up from where we left off. Meeting your boyfriend's ex is never easy, but if she is a vampire, then it's much more uncomfortable. Matthew realizes that something is wrong and rushes to the two women who are looking at each other. Diana is a confused witch, while Juliet has a murderous rage in her eyes. She grabs Diana by the throat and calls Matthew to kiss her. Reluctantly, he comes forward and kisses her while Juliet is looking at him as if he betrayed her. In a millisecond, she attacks Matthew's throat and chest, making blood pour out of him. Diana looks at Matthew with desperation, but Juliet only says that she can never save him. Upon hearing this, flames start emerging from her. She creates a bow using her fire and shoots a scared Juliet, taking her out in one go. She rushes to Matthew, desperate to save him. She calls out the goddess and promises she will do anything to save him. Her calls are answered when a dagger appears in her hand. She cuts her and offers it to Matthew, but the blood is too little for him. So then she offers him her neck, which he thankfully takes. However, after a few seconds of drinking, Matthew and Diana both pass out on the barn floor, exhausted from the near-death experience. A while later, Diana wakes up and sees Matthew's worried face. He tells her that the crazy ex is dead and that she should not feel bad. Diana says that she does not regret killing her, and they both know in this war, this won't be the last time they kill creatures. Matthew then suggests that they both hide in time so that no one can find them, and Diana can also work on her magic. She seems to like this idea, and they both start preparing for it. Back in Venice, Sadu's fate is being discussed, and Baldwin fears that time is running out for Matthew and Diana. Upon hearing this, Matthew becomes more worried, and at the same time, the house starts shaking again and throws an ugly poppet at him. He checks it and finds an earring. Matthew says to Diana that it belongs to her mother, and they both share the same confused look. But a car approaching gets their attention. Hamish, Sophie, and Nathaniel emerge out of the car and greet everyone. Sophie gives the possessed piece to Diana and says that she was always destined to do so. Later, all of them, vampires, witches, and demons, gather together at the table to discuss time walking. Understandably, all of them are worried, but they are also out of options, so they have one final normal supper together. And surprisingly, they have a good time. Meanwhile, Baldwin is going through a lot. After kicking Sadu out of the congregation, Gerbert and Knox accuse him of helping Matthew. They decide that the punishment for betrayal is execution by a fire sword. Baldwin is running out of options, but Agatha interrupts Gerbert and Knox and says that she requires a vote regarding this motion. Gerbert is irritated, but he lets her because, quite frankly, he can't harm a congregation member. Later, the members return and vote regarding the motion. But Baldwin wins because of none other than the ever-smart Domenico. He just smirks up at Baldwin, indicating that he owes him. Everything is settled back in Madison. Hamish warns Diana that she should stay strong because Matthew might not be the same where they are going. She does not understand him, but she keeps this advice in the back of her mind. Sophie, Nate, and Diana's aunts are all going to Septours, all thanks to Usebo, who promised to safeguard them while Matthew is gone. Miriam takes some final samples of Diana for research and, along with Marcus, leaves Matthew and Diana alone. But before Marcus can say a teary-eyed goodbye, Matthew gives him a letter which makes him the Grand Master of the Knights of Lazarus. Marcus is now even more emotional, and Matthew gives a proud, fulfilling hug before letting him go. When everyone is gone, Matthew and Diana are the last ones left in the haunted house. They go to their room and change into old clothes and hold hands. They have a destination in mind and hope in their hearts. And with that, Diana does her magic and poof, they both are gone. But where?